Hello everyone, this is JPL, and today I'm joined with...
Christopher.
Yes, and we're back for another podcast name in brackets. Yes, I remembered it this time. We're continuing with this podcast, and once again, we're both on Anchor and on YouTube and other sites.
So, have you tried applying to Apple or
I have not tried applying to Apple.
Okay.
But good news is that I am now, I've opened up sponsorship and viewer support. So if you ever feel like, hey, I'll just give this person $1, sure, go ahead and do that. Also, we have a sponsorship. We're being sponsored by Anchor themselves.
Okay.
As our starting sponsor. So far, I have 1 cent, which is awesome. Fantastic. So, if you ever hear that annoying ad that I made, no, the ad is already made. So.
Oh, it is. Oh,
yes. Okay. So it's gonna be it's being played at the beginning of the episode. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
So therefore, we must not say anything negative about Anchor throughout the episode.
No, we could say stuff, but for now, it's just I have nothing negative to say about Anchor right now. So
okay, I think it's very solid as a podcast platform.
It's also very easy to use.
Yeah. And however, what Anchor was, I miss what Anchor was. Like, unlike YouTube and Facebook, that they're just revamping designs, like Anchor revamped what it was. So I miss the old Anchor. That's all.
Well, I have no idea what the old Anchor was, so good for you.
I need to look into some other apps. There's a couple apps that I have kind of like seen that I'm interested in, but haven't like taken the time to try to use. So at some point I will try. But that's besides the point. We have some things that we want to talk about today.
I think we do.
Oh, okay.
Going back to last podcast, we had a lovely discussion about eBay, and you pointed out an item on eBay.
I should not pull up eBay.
Don't pull it up.
Okay. No, can I tell you what happened since
what happened since
the recording? So I was stuck on eBay for a bit, looking at things, and I obviously can't buy anything. But then we were talking about, after the call about the review series of movies and VeggieTales.
Yeah.
Anyways, we were talking about VeggieTales, and I was like, there's some stuff about VeggieTales I'd like to know. And there's fandom.com.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and all their wikis.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a good Big Idea wiki on there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I got so lost on there. I spent hours and hours.
So you know about Big Idea then?
Yes, I do.
And so whenever we get to the point where we get to talk about some VeggieTales, you can elaborate on some information.
I think some of what I'm going to do... Well, first off, I have a question. So if because I want to do the review at least of the VeggieTales thing.
I have an idea how we could do it.
You have an idea? Okay, what's your idea?
It's basically like a kind of like a round table discussion where we're sitting together, we have the camera at us, and we're talking about the episode itself, and we're pointing out specific qualities and questions about each episode, like, do they fit this criteria? What do we think about this? How do they relate to this? That kind of standard, and then just our personal opinions on it altogether.
And so would we record that right after watching the episode?
We can do it right after, or we can just wait a bit and let the idea just stick through us. It depends.
Ideally, for just VeggieTales in general, we're already pretty familiar with a good portion of the series.
Right.
I'm thinking. So we might not even have to have that time in between.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about, how and where we would watch it. Do you think it'd just be easier to do it at your home then?
It's possible. I have that nice little table, that counter. and and those alpaca painting in the back on the wall that you could just have a little, I don't know, cameo.
But I think that would be just more convenient because then you won't have to transport your equipment around. It's just all at home.
Yeah, that is true. That would be convenient for me.
And then, so like, for example, if we take the time to like watch the movie, like at this point, I don't think we should. But if we did like do that watching on campus and then having to record it, sometimes just maybe the place we want to do it isn't available. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
So, or like, for example, if we like did it at David's place in the theater, if it's still there, because I know they revamped it to be more like a gym, but if we did it at the theater at David's place, ideally, right after us, some people would want to watch the movie. It's a little, I mean, and we could, I feel like there's even a potential that we could talk about the episode for a full hour, you know?
We could. Maybe.
We could.
If we have that much to talk about.
I feel like there'd be some that we might.
It depends on what we have to say about it. But if we can, that'd be great content, you know?
It would. But that's why I think it'd be better to do it at your house. Because we don't have to reserve any space. Yes. And plus, save for the couple of people that might live at your place. I mean, ideally, your parents would go back on the mission field.
Yes.
And your sister is then living there, and the house is pretty much all to yourself. So then I feel like it's better to do. So the only thing to worry about is just transporting me because I'm not driving. So.
Yeah, don't worry. I got you, pal.
Thank you.
I got you.
Thank you.
I'll drive you.
I love this idea.
Yes, it should hopefully be a fun time.
Yeah.
Going back to eBay, you scum of the earth.
Okay, did you get that thing?
I did.
Like it was a bid, right?
It was a bid.
And you won.
I won. I'm actually really surprised that I won. Because I noticed that since then the price on the bid went up. Like there was a little bit of a bid war, and so I decided, you know what? I think I'm gonna raise the price, and I bid, and no one else bid, and I won. Luckily for me, it was at a price that I think was worth it. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations.
And you know what? Like, I was the top bidder for like 5 days, and no one else bid, which was so surprising. It's like, why is no one else bidding? Like, please. Like, sure, I want this. I could pay for this, but it's like, please. I don't want to spend the money right now. So yeah, I bought it. It's going to be here next week.
Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations on one hand. On the other hand, that's amazing.
Yes. So
we saw it at like $25, right?
It was at $23, yes.
Okay. Did you bid 40?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I bid 40.
Okay, cool. And you said it's arriving next week. You look so happy, man.
I'm happy. Yes, that I'm finally getting this thing that I've wanted for over 10 years, and it's like it was an accident. It wasn't exactly deliberate. It was an accident. I want it, and I'm happy.
Oh, wow. So let me go on eBay and see if there's anything else that you want.
Stop it. I cannot spend any more money.
I won't.
I cannot spend any more money.
You want, and you're happy. I'm happy for you.
I'm over budget.
Wow. Woo!
Well, that was
it 40 or not? Huh? Come on. Was it 40 or not?
Yeah, I bid 40.
Oh, you bid 40.
I bid 40.
No, your was so hesitant. That's right.
It's because shipping makes it in total $50.
Oh, okay.
And taxes, of course. So yeah, in total $50. Okay. Not terrible. I think that's a pretty cheap price for that one specifically.
And And there are some Lego sets that are ridiculously expensive anyways.
Yes. So, yes, I am the proud owner of a Hydraxon.
So, and it's new, or is it used?
It's used.
It's used. Okay.
It's used. It's used.
Okay. Were there good solid pictures to prove that it exists?
Yes.
Okay, good.
They were good solid pictures. It's fine. It's used. I'm gonna have it. I'm just happy that I finally get it.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
And so, did you start selling things on eBay?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet, but they'll help pay for that buying spree that I went. So
how often do you go out to buy things like that?
Oh, not often.
Okay.
Like I'd say maybe for eBay there's probably once a year where I look and say, "Yeah, I'm going to get this item." Like I'm really invested in spending a lot of money on this. Quote unquote a lot. I do have my limits of how much I want to spend. So that wasn't the discussion I really wanted to get onto at this point. You wanted to Anyway, how are you doing?
I don't know. I mean, we were talking about eBay and VeggieTales. What else is there?
What else
I
is
feel
there?
like there was one other thing on my mind, but I can't remember at the moment, but it's okay.
Okay, well, we had a discussion about the next coming weeks for this podcast. Hopefully, our podcast will be weekly, guys. I cannot definitely say when the weekly podcast will be. This podcast will be coming out on Monday, but for our coming podcast, we'll be recording on a different day. So,
then actually, that raises a question: would you want to record in advance so you can prepare it for next Monday?
No, I'm gonna record something with another guy.
Okay, gotcha.
So that I can get that done. But
Okay.
yeah, for the next coming weeks, the schedule will probably change, and depending how things are, you, Christopher, are doing an internship, which is good for you. And of course, next week I'm not going to be on social media for much, so I won't be uploading much content, or if any content in general. But there should hopefully be a scheduled release on the podcast.
Okay, so then that kind of leads me to an interesting question. Because you're somewhat old school, right?
Yes.
Do you have a smartphone, right?
I do.
I mean, how else are we going to communicate? Anyways, but first off, maybe we should test that we can record. Should we?
Later.
Yeah, later. Not right now. Anyways, my dead brain. Why can't I think?
Okay.
All right, so I'm super curious. What apps do you have on your phone? Because, because I don't think you have that many.
Okay.
So, what do you have to survive?
What do I have to just survive on my apps? Now, are these apps that I downloaded myself, or just the general apps on here?
I think the apps you downloaded.
Okay.
You don't have to disclose everyone, but I'm just super curious.
Okay. First things first. Facebook.
Okay.
Skype.
Okay.
That's because that's helpful.
How often do you use Skype?
Not often.
But it's helpful when you need it.
I use it whenever I call someone, and I don't really call people often. So.
Okay.
Then I have my school email.
Okay.
And then I have Messenger.
Speaking about email, school, more or less, do you have the liberty? You would disclose it, but I'll just ask: do you have the Liberty Today app?
No, I do not.
No. Okay. I think that's totally fine. I don't I just have it just because sometimes it is helpful. But honestly, I personally would uninstall it, but just because there are times that it is actually legit helpful. So once I graduate, I'm gonna uninstall.
Right. Okay.
Oh, and next you have Top Hat.
I have Top Hat. That's a one thing that every student has to have here is Top Hat.
Top Hat.
Oh my gosh, Top Hat was the worst when I was starting out here, when I started doing it, because I didn't have a computer or a smartphone to bring to class. And so it's like I had to borrow my dad's old crappy tablet and use that. And it's like half the time the battery was drained because it was that old. And it's like, yeesh. Eventually, my parents just bought me a smartphone without my permission. Like, they just took me from school and brought me to the store and said, "Hey, we bought you a smartphone." I'm like, what? And so,
But hey, it's helpful for some situations.
it's a good tool, but it's like it's a thing that you can get addicted to, and I don't want that.
So, would you? I know we're straying from my original question, but what would you think if you had like two phones, one flip phone, one smartphone? The smartphone for like what you need, like top hat, but the flip phone that you need to like actually call people. You know what I mean? What would you think about that?
Having two phones?
Yeah, one that's only for like internet purposes, like top hat. No.
Like if I just if I have one phone, just could use that phone.
Okay. Because I personally would be like, because I can get distracted on my smartphone, and also after a lot of overuse, the battery drains. So I'm like, it would be just nice to have the flip phone that like the battery will last longer. I'm not going to be addicted to it. The battery's not going to drain. I just have the basically auxiliary phone.
Yeah, for me, it's one or the other. I don't want both, because then it's just too much. And of course, you have to pay for both. So.
But if the one phone is inactive, then you don't have to pay for it.
What's the point of the other phone then?
Well, like the smartphone is for like the internet-based stuff, and then the flip phone would be for actually calling people, calling and texting.
If the thing is inactive, your smartphone's not going to work.
No, you can't. The smartphone still can work. It's just you can't use like the data stuff, like calling people.
They deactivate your chip.
Well, that's stupid.
I think that's I don't know. I don't care. So the next app is of course YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Do you have YouTube Studio?
No. Okay. This is just reviewing, not for uploading. Next is Bookshelf for reading my textbooks online if I ever forget to bring it.
Okay.
Next is Bible Gateway. Just in case
I didn't know Bible Gateway had an app.
It's interesting. All right. Then Moody Radio, the app, because I like listening to it sometimes.
Okay, so then that's a question related to that. Okay. Like I kind of get that like some radio stations have like their own app for their own radio station, but I personally just like to get a general radio app that gets online feeds. So instead of like having multiple radio apps, I just have one where I can get pretty much any feed I want.
Yeah. Like in my case, I don't want any other radio station. I just want this one.
Okay.
And so that's why I just got this one.
That makes sense then.
All right, moving on is Google Drive. Because sometimes I want to upload things to it.
Or just watch your things on it.
Yes. If on a really bored day that I have, and hours in between class. Next is Quizlet. If I ever want to just cram something right before a test.
I've actually never used Quizlet.
It's not the best solution. There are some courses that have better material, and sometimes they don't. Then there's the DC Universe app, which is fun. It's fine.
Is it? So it's not a game?
No, it's a streaming service.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting. It has. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Is it like? I'm just curious about it.
The problem with DC Universe is that it's been going on for 2 years now, and for the most part still has the same amount of content it had since it began. And it's like there's still not enough content in general.
How much is the subscription?
$7 to $8 a month.
Okay.
I believe it's 7.
Are you still on Disney Plus?
I'm still on Disney Plus, yes.
Okay.
Next is the Dolby.
Mm-hmm.
The one where
Yes.
we record our podcast on.
We used to.
When we're in public, yes.
When we're in.
Then I have something.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You don't know how much I've been tempted to say something during that countdown. When it says be quiet.
Oh, right. Stop it. No, don't. It has to measure our audio, man. It has to measure it. You gotta stop. You gotta not do that. Okay?
Okay.
Be good. Be good Christian folk.
Okay.
Next is Backstage, which is something that is for work.
I was actually looking at the website a couple days ago. I actually would want to try to look into some of that stuff.
So the problem with Backstage is in order to audition, you have to pay for it. Which is, when looking into a bunch of auditioning stuff, you have to pay.
Okay.
Which really sucks. So for Backstage, I did pay.
Okay.
And so...
So is it a subscription or a per audition?
It's subscription.
And how much is it per month?
Oh, I don't know per month, but for a year, I got a year subscription, and that's about $70.
$70. I
Yes.
mean, if one is
monthly, I think it's like $20.
Wow.
So
but if one is actively auditioning for things, then that's actually a good price.
Right. For now, we'll see at the end of the year if I think it's a good price or if it's even worth investing in.
Mm-hmm.
But for right now, no.
How many things have you auditioned for?
I don't remember. On that one, I don't remember.
Okay. Have you gotten any?
I've auditioned to a bunch. I've not had any feedback whatsoever on anything. And that's the reality of auditions, is that you'll never know what happens.
That's a bummer.
All right. Next is Word Search, which is another textbook app. Okay. Then Disney Plus.
Okay.
All right. Then Google Docs, which I should probably... Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll leave that there. And then Cengage for classes. Cengage. Okay. I have Word on here. Okay. That's interesting. I have the Equestria Daily app, which is Brony News.
Okay.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. I guess in the spirit of transparency, I might as well disclose my apps too.
If you want to. I would not know any of them.
I mean, we'll see. I guess starting with stuff I downloaded.
Mm-hmm.
First off, one thing I do kind of tend to do is like uninstall apps and reinstall them.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, the last app on the list is Instagram because I just recently installed that one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I took a break from it. So, anyways.
And of course, I don't use Instagram much.
Yeah.
So,
and they're building so much into like the website version that it's almost like you don't need the app for some things.
Except you can't upload with the website version,
which does suck.
I don't know why.
I feel like that will change at some point.
Yeah, sooner than later, please. Because I don't want to keep downloading Instagram whenever I want to upload something.
I think you can look. Wait. On the phone. On your phone, if you log into the browser, you might be able to upload. Let me check. Do you use Chrome?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's not talking about the phone. I'm talking about on not the phone, on the website.
But at least you don't have to download the app each time. So yeah, on the phone, if you log in via the browser than YouTube.
Supposedly.
I mean, it's better.
It doesn't matter. I don't know if this is still even an interesting conversation for our viewers or listeners. Do you care about this conversation?
I do.
Okay, well, to continue.
All right, fine. Then I'll just try to zip through it. Basically, the apps I've installed in order. Shazam to figure out what music is playing around me. I rarely use it, honestly, but it's nice to have.
Mm-hmm.
Genius, it's a lyrics app. It definitely connects well to my Spotify. The Adventures in Odyssey audio player, which is basically, and honestly, I don't even think I've used it on this phone, if I have barely. But it's fan made, but it's official at the same time in that it captures legal links. It's not whatever the activity within that app is not illegal. So I want to get back to listening Odyssey at some point, but it's nice to have at the very least. It's based upon like the broadcasts, and then like Focus on Family will have like it live streaming on their websites, basically, and like the stream will be up there for like 7 days or something. And so this app basically just has it in the app. It's just convenient, so it's pretty cool. Bands in town. It helps me find out concerts near me, which is awesome. Liberty Today, Top Hat, Messenger, Google Keep. I love using Google Keep. It's basically like a memo/notes thing, but it syncs between my computer and phone, which is pretty cool. You're just like listening. There's like, like okay. Yeah. Like I almost think you have me muted. Anyways, DU Recorder records my screen. Twitter. InShot is my favorite like mobile editing app. I hate editing on my phone, but if I have to, it's very, very convenient. And this is out of order, but the games I have on my phone is Mario Kart and Minion Rush, which I just reinstalled yesterday because I hear they're revamping that app, and so I just want to play an old thing. And actually, what I have listed in my phone, I have the Bible listed as a game. Reason being is that when I'm reading my Bible on my phone and the notifications keep popping in, it's annoying. So if I make it listed as a game, then notifications don't pop in. So Chick-fil-A barely use. Simple Radio is the app I use for radio streams. Because less people use it, it's not as heavy like TuneIn. GroupMe, texting app, S'mores. Basically, I can get like they show me advertisements and I build up tokens, and then I get gift cards on Amazon.
So cool. I'm just looking at Twitter at this point. I'm half listening to you. You don't use your Chick-fil-A one?
Not often, because I don't go often.
Also, campus doesn't accept it.
True. So then it's. I mean, I go to campus.
Yeah.
So often, and so. I mean, I kind of get that they don't get it, they don't take it, but at the same time, it's a bummer.
It's actually a really, really useful app. My mother uses it.
Really? I keep forgetting what my password is, though. I never remember. I can't believe they don't just let me stay logged in. That surprises me.
All right.
You took evangelism with Dr. Wheeler, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have the 4 apps.
I did have the 4 apps.
Yeah,
I only just recently just took them off.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't use them. They're taking up space.
Right. I was thinking that too, because like I've never opened them. So at some point, I actually want to go through them and pick my favorite out of the 4. And
I looked at them. I mean, and there's just not much for me to use for myself. So they're good tools.
Which would do you remember which one you actually liked? No,
I don't remember which. Was it the 3 circles one, maybe?
Okay, gotcha. So then also, I have an app called Story Save, which I saw like you were like screen recording like Instagram stories.
What?
There was a one time when you showed me like some screen recordings of like a play, and it was.
Oh yes, that.
So, like, instead, I have an app that actually, like, just downloads the video. So, I like to use that. I rarely use this one, but a random picker, basically. Like, if I don't know what to do, I'll put in the 3 things and let the phone decide. It's fun. Google Rewards, they'll occasionally send me a survey that I answer, or Follow Analyze, or just Instagram Analytics Discord. A very simple meme making app because I'm not very memey, but I use it occasionally.
Question: have you been getting like these odd advertisements on YouTube?
Define odd.
It's not a video, but just a survey.
Oh, I've seen those for years. Like, they appear every so often.
I mean, like they'll just, instead of having like something at the start of the video, they just have the survey, and it's like, what's this?
At least no one's jabbering in your ear for 30 seconds.
It's like it's so annoying, really, because it's like it's almost worse than an actual video for me. I don't know why. I just don't want that.
I was gonna ask you why.
I don't know why. Like it's so stupid. Like I don't want a stupid survey. I don't care about Trump. Just give me an advertisement. I'll deal with that. Just don't give me a survey, okay?
And then Bloomberg advertisement.
I don't know why.
Do you remember when Bloomberg just overran YouTube with his ads?
I don't know who you're talking about. Because here's the thing. I use AdBlock, and I really think that they're actually putting their surveys in replacement for the AdBlock.
So you legit get no ads besides the surveys.
Right. Yes.
Interesting. So how often do the surveys appear for you then?
These are recent. Like every video, they start at the beginning of the video.
Every video.
Every video.
I think they caught on.
I think they did. I mean, yeah, it's interesting.
Wow. I actually. I'm gonna Google that.
There's nothing on Google. I can find anything. So, yeah. Sorry, listeners. This is not a fun discussion, but
this is not a fun discussion.
I have a survey that's haunting my every movement on my computer.
Fine. The rest of my apps don't matter. Let's move on to something more important then.
Let's move on to something more important, like the discussion matter that we actually wanted to talk about on this podcast.
Okay.
What
mine
did you
or
want?
Yours?
Yours first.
Okay. You always frame me to look like just selfish, and it's amazing.
Do I now? I don't think I do.
Okay, you do your thing first, and you can talk about your apps, and then we'll get to my lowly discussion later.
No, you do.
Selfish person.
No. You do it. You do it. You do it.
Okay.
Come on.
Because John's going to be gone next week, he mentioned about potentially reading a few books. I was super curious, like, what type of books do you like to read?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because I'm like, do you have like the Ultimate Guide to Brownies book that you're going to read?
So, no.
But I knew that was...
No, you mean the psychologist book on bronies?
I knew that was such a cheap joke to make, but I still had to say it. But
well, it is a cheap joke. No. Sometimes I'll read some of my acting books.
Oh.
Yes. Every once in a while, I get to that.
Are they helpful?
Yes, they're quite insightful.
Okay.
I just don't get the chance to read them often.
Yeah. Or you choose not to read them often.
Possible. Also, I have a bunch of Star Wars books that I need to read.
Okay.
That I just have on my shelves. I have a bunch here. I'm going to read them one day. But...
Okay. Are you... we might have talked about it, but are you interested in that Star Wars new book series? Was it this or next year?
They postponed it to next year.
Okay.
Sadly, it makes sense.
Wow. Because I mean, it's a book.
Makes sense because it's a book, and people are not going to be going out and getting books with COVID and all that. And I think there's also probably something else behind the scenes that I heard about, but I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
And so they're going to be pushing it back to next year.
I mean,
which
definitely
means,
if it's behind the scenes, that makes sense.
yes, which means next year we're gonna get a lot of them. So that should be interesting. Yeah, Star Wars and acting books.
I think I'm gonna ask you what movies you're looking forward to. Wait, no. Do you watch movies like general, like new movies?
Depends.
Depends. Okay, then never mind.
There's nothing this year. Like everything's being canceled and they're being pushed to next year,
Right.
which is, oh my gosh.
Well, so I was kind of gonna ask like which movies were you interested in?
Godzilla. I mean.
Oh wait, is that Godzilla versus
King Kong? Yes. They pushed it to next year, which is so. It's because they keep pushing it. It's supposed to come out in February, then they pushed it out to like July, and then October, and now it's next year. It's like I want it to come out, but at the same time, it's a good idea because it's too soon after the last one, and it's like okay, I think they need their time to actually make this movie, so do it. And we have no trailer or anything for this movie.
Wow.
We have a poster, but no trailer. Okay. So we don't know what's going on there. Comic-Con is canceled, so I don't know.
There's some like suspense around that movie, honestly, because like that's such an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
It better be good. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, that movie is that actually okay. There is actually another Godzilla versus King Kong movie that came out in 1964. Which is hilariously bad, but it's so enjoyable to watch.
Like just big costumes, basically.
Yes, it is. it's oh man, they're hoots. I love them. They're great. Yeah, books wise, acting books and Star Wars books. Maybe some Bionicle. I don't know.
Okay, there are Bionicle books.
There are Bionicle books, yes.
Are they still published or are they out of print?
Oh, I think they're out of print.
Okay.
At least I think they are. Yeah, I think that's the case.
Okay.
But you can find them on eBay. And
that makes sense.
Yes.
So they were like official books?
They're official books, yes. And they're the official story. And they're very good, yes.
Like how many were there?
Oh, there's a lot.
Okay. So how long was Bionicle around?
Bionicle started in 2001 and ended in 2010. So next year is going to be the 20-year anniversary of Bionicle. So
would you ever expect there to be like a comeback of Bionicle?
They did have a comeback. They had a second generation that started out in 2015 until 2016. It did not work out.
Like
it was not great.
Okay.
There are other podcasts that talk about that specific concept, but the general thing that happened was that Lego did not really put all of their effort into making this in the second generation as good. They put a lot of effort in redesigning our original characters for the first run, which those designs are fantastic, but they put no effort into the actual advertisement and the actual books and story, and like there was nothing. Eventually, we got a Netflix series, which is not good, in my personal opinion. The animation sucked, the voice acting was really subpar, and eventually they got canceled, and so they had to completely rush the entire ending of the story in like 2 episodes, and it's like why okay. And so, yeah, it was not great.
That's sad.
It is sad, sure. Right, yeah, but, at the same time, we had what we had. Yeah, books. All right, so for me this past week, I've not exactly done much anything this week on YouTube besides nothing. Mainly just for getting Anchor all set up, and getting us monetized on Anchor. So That's done. And another thing that I've just been doing is I've just been watching TV, mainly the History Channel. And so I've been watching a lot of treasure hunting shows.
Wait, so is this like live History Channel shows or like archived?
Live.
Okay, because I would almost think that History Channel would be focusing a lot of things in relation to Black Lives Matter right now.
They're not.
They're not. Interesting.
They're not,
okay.
Actually.
Because it just feels like everything else is. So, okay. So treasure hunting.
It's terrible. it's entertaining to watch, but at the same time, it's just terrible.
Terrible as in like boring, or
I mean, like they don't actually accomplish anything, and it's
you just
like
walk around basically.
Let me explain a few things because there's 3 shows in the treasure hunting business that I've been watching. The first one is Lost Gold of World War II, which is basically in the Philippines. Japan raided the entire Philippines of all their gold, and then they buried it in a mountain.
In Japan or the Philippines?
In the Philippines.
Okay.
That
Why? One, you would think you would just take the gold.
It was near the end of the war, and so they knew that they were going to lose, and so they hid the treasure, I think. Okay. I think that one is actually plausible.
Okay.
As an actual thing, because they actually recovered a few items, not on the show, but from years ago.
Right.
And so.
But not on the show.
Not on the show. I think the treasure's gone at this point, but I do want them to actually find. Like in these shows, I do actually hope that they find something so that all this time is not for nothing.
But they just never do.
They find tunnels, and maybe some items that were from that time period, like I don't know, a pickaxe or wood. But this is actually a more enjoyable show, and I'm all caught up, and it's like, oh, I have to wait weekly now. But this one is actually entertaining. The next show I got into was The Curse of the Civil War Treasure, which is, oh my gosh, it's really boring. The premise is so far-fetched. But maybe it's true. I don't know. I don't think it's verifiable in any way, but the basic premise was that at the end of the Civil War, the Confederate president was trying to escape to Mexico with wagons full of treasure. The Union soldiers captured him, and they took the treasure for themselves. And at some point, the treasure is in the bottom of Lake Michigan. And so far the show is 2 seasons, and they've not found it. And so basically they're just going and like metal detecting some areas, like this is where the capture site was. Hey, we found a coin. And then they're, I don't know what the heck they're doing for the rest of the show.
2 seasons.
2 seasons. I mean, to be fair, the first season is 5 episodes. The second season is 10 episodes. So this is how History Channel shows work, is that they have short seasons for the first season to test the waters and see if they're actually view-worthy. And after that, they'll grant you more episodes. I
mean, that's a smart strategy.
Yes, and so basically
15 episodes and you can't find
anything. Basically they're just looking at historical sites and just testing to see if their theories are true. I have no idea. I don't really care. But it's like at the very beginning, he say it's like there is gold at the bottom of Lake Michigan, and they don't actually go there until the end of the second season, mainly because they needed to get support from a guy who has money, and they had to convince him for like most of 2 seasons that this is actually something that they can do. Because to be fair, their theory is very far-fetched, and there's not exactly much proof.
How do people at the end of the first season be like, yeah, we want to see more of someone begging a rich person to fund our theoretical mission.
Right. So they get to the end of the second season. They send out divers into Lake Michigan, and they find what they think is gold bars, but they can't actually bring it up because they don't have the permits. And so they send in the second dive team, this time with a metal detector, and they find out that the gold that they found was fake. It was actually bricks painted gold. And the mystery behind it is that was more, those gold bars were put there recently. And so there's another mystery at their hands. Like someone's trying to prevent them from getting this treasure, which I think is just people trolling. Like they saw the show and it's like, hey, we'll just paint some bricks gold and shove it down there. I think that's exactly what happened, but they're making it out as this mysterious conspiracy.
So that's going to be season 3.
Yes, which I hope that's the end. I hope they actually find the gold, because it's like, come on, you please
just do this for 3 seasons.
You'll be surprised, because then I found the next show called The Curse of Oak Island. How many seasons is that one? Take a guess.
7.
It is 7.
And tell me what they don't do, or what they do that they're not doing anything. It's basically if the Pirates Who Don't Do Anything was a TV show.
This is quite interesting because the premise is actually very interesting.
Okay.
For the show.
Intrigue me.
It's a 200-year-old mystery that 200 years ago, some people on this island found the structure in the ground, and they started digging because they think there's treasure. And every 10 feet, they found planks of wood going down to 90 feet. At the bottom of the 90 feet, there's a slab that says 40 feet below 2 million pounds. And then the whole thing flooded with seawater, which implies that there's secret tunnels sending seawater into their shafts. So for 200 years, people have been digging on the island trying to get there, but every time they get close, the thing floods with seawater, and they can't get anywhere. And so the thing that intrigues me is, like, I don't care about the whole treasure and stuff, but it's like, how the heck did this thing happen? Like, why did you put planks 90 feet? Like, it's weird. It's a weird concept, which makes it so intriguing, but it's like, there's no idea what is actually there, or if anything's there. And they're trying to relate it to, oh, this is actually treasure from the Templars. And there's a possibility that down there is the Ark of the Covenant, among other Templar treasures. And it's like, huh.
Wow.
I don't believe that. That's far-fetched.
That is far-fetched.
They do present a lot of things that's like, oh, that could relate to Templars, but I don't believe it's the Ark of the Covenant. Would it be cool? Sure, but I don't believe it. I really hope that there's something down there, because they've been going for 7 seasons now. They've not found definite proof. They've found a lot of tunnels, which for the most part happen to be tunnels from other treasure hunters. They found a lot of proof that things happen on that island that are old, but there's still no definite sign of where the treasure is, if the treasure's even there, or if it's already been found or not. And so it's a lot. It's a lot. I've been watching it. I'm only on season 4. But I've been watching it weekly. It's somewhat entertaining. Because it's like, it is kind of intriguing, but it's like nothing happens. Like, they don't actually find anything, and it's like whenever they do find small things like wood down there, it's like,
make it a big deal.
It, like, they kind of do, but the thing that makes it so aggravating is the narrator of those episodes. Like, they repeat the exact same thing every episode just to keep you up to date about what exactly they're trying to do. what's exactly there. And it's like every time they find something like a stick or a rock, it's like the narrator just has the exact same way of saying everything. It's like a stick found 200 feet below ground? Could this be something that could relate to the treasure? If so, how could it get there? And does this mean that it's related to the Ark of the Covenant brought in by the Templars, also included with Shakespeare's manuscripts and the Aztec mystery? And the Spanish gold from down in South America. It's like it's exactly like that. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And that happens like 10 times in episodes where it's like the thing they find is not exactly interesting. It's like water in a swamp. Could this be the same water that Moses used to cross the Red Sea?
Wow.
And if so, could this lead to the Ark of the Covenant that's found 200 miles deep in a secret treasure chamber that can only be found by saying this exact cantation told by Mexicans 12 years ago? And it's like this whole elaborate sentence, and it's like my mother loves it because it's like it's so funny to her that that's the exact same thing that he says every episode. And for me, it's like I'm getting so annoyed from this narrator. Just fire this guy. And it's like he's asking all these questions every time they find something. It's like, shut up. Let me ask those questions myself. Don't tell me, like, a coin found in the ground. It's like, could this be related to something? It's like, shut up. Let me ask that question. It's like, a coin. It's in the ground. I wonder if it could be related to the Templars. And then, there's something like that. Just don't
force your questions upon me.
It's like what's funny is that I try and went looking for reviews of the show. I can't find anything, but one review I found, they started out the episode was like, a body? Could this be Hitler's body found with a Nazi symbol? And it's like, I found that funny because that's exactly what I feel happens for most of the show. It's just that narrator repeating the exact same thing over and over again, the same tone of the way he says it. A light bulb? Could this be the same light bulb used by Abraham Lincoln? How could this be related to Shakespeare and the Aztecs and who knows what?
Oh my God.
And John, so, yeah.
I have to be honest, though. I have to use the bathroom.
Okay.
So, should we stop the recording and start a new one? Or
hold on. You go to the bathroom.
Christopher? Going to the bathroom? What's going on? Is his stomach okay? You'll find out when we come back.
There's no way I could go home. Finding out why you go. Where do you find your home in town? I am waiting here, waiting for Christopher to return. And there's nothing to be done. Yeah, viewers, I'm still waiting for Christopher to come back. It's been like 10 minutes now. I'm just singing at random. Hopefully he just comes back within the next 5 minutes. So yeah. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like it's climbing clear up to the sky. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. I don't know. Yeah, there's nothing here. Nothing's happening still. I'm sorry, listeners, for my singing, but nothing's going on so far. Yeah. Jai sole al gange, jai sole al gange, più chiaro svavila, più chiaro svavila, più chiaro svavila. E ter giorni stila dell'alba che piange, dell'alba che piange, dell'alba che piange, dell'alba che piange. Già il sole dal Gange, già il sole dal Gange, più chiaro sfavilla, più chiaro sfavilla, più chiaro sfavilla. There once was a time where I lived alone. During this time, I waited for you. But you never came, and now I'm sad to say I'm leaving you because you left me. Oh, Christopher, why aren't you here? Why can't you stay and say hello? But since you're gone, and now I say, where did you go, my sorry friend? There once was a man who sat here, staring at a computer screen blankly. He looked at his microphone with a shine of red and said, "There's no one here to say or speak to or anything like that. I clearly am not a singer, but there's nothing else to do. It's been 10 minutes, nearly 20 or 15, and I'm still sitting here for you." I want my friend back, but since there's no sign of him, I'll just sit here and sing a sad or happy song depending on your view of life. There's no difference to say or why we're all here today. But bravado is really strong today. You know, singing sounds different when you hear it in the recording versus when you actually sing it yourself. Oh my goodness, where are you, Christopher? Where are you, Christopher? Where have you gone? The viewers and listeners are leaving this podcast as we speak, and there's no sight of them. I blame the government personally for all this mess that's been going on. I hope you're not trying to steal my money. I hope you know how things work out, or how they don't work out. You know, when you're left alone with a microphone in front of your face, you start to do weird things. You start speaking in a different voice, maybe a different accent, and you start letting your mind go into places you don't want it to go. Such places that are dark and mysterious and insecure. Perhaps Christopher has unlocked my true potential. My potential as a person who no longer has a mind to mind. But for real, where the heck is my friend? I have no idea, and now all the listeners are just listening to me. Alright, question for your listeners. What do you think is going on? Any questions that you have for us for our next podcast? Let us know. Let us know what you think. Let us know whatever taxing questions that you want us to discuss. Perhaps we have something for you. Also, when you get the chance, please support us, either by watching more of our podcasts or by supporting us. $1 makes all the difference. Oh my goodness, where are you, Christopher? Day 13 of Time Without Christopher. I've decided to live with the mole people. They've entrusted me to be their queen. I told them that I was not a female, but I just accepted the job anyway because it would be fun to be a queen. So far, nothing has happened. They told me just to be the queen, sit there on a throne, and do nothing. I felt sad because this is the exact same thing I'm doing with Christopher. Day 14. Finally, something to do. They told me to go outside, stare at the sun, and drop dead. I did the first part. I couldn't drop dead. It was really difficult. Did all my best, but nothing happened. Day 15. I decided to become an astronaut. Not sure why. I just looked up at the sky. Still realizing I was blind, I said, you know what? I want to go to space. So now, I'm going to be an astronaut. Day 16. I'm now in prison. I've been arrested for trying to step into a spacecraft. Since then, I can't see the light. Neither could I do at any point. Oh, hey, what's this? Remnants of a friend? Hello there, Christopher.
Hey, sorry. My stomach feels better, but still, I feel like I could have been there longer. But anyways, the show must go on.
Yes, I mean, I've been sitting here for the past 20 minutes just trying
Has it been 20? I'm sorry.
I think, yes, it has been 20.
I'm
So,
sorry.
yeah, you missed out on me singing a few songs and then me just ranting about things I could have done. You missed out. You
Part
missed.
of the podcast?
Yes, it is.
That's amazing.
You missed out on a fun conversation I had with myself, or a fun series of dialogue that could have been fun. You'll have to listen to the podcast.
Okay.
Give me a cent by doing that.
Yes, sir. That is so funny.
All right, so
okay, I'm glad. I feel like this is. Think about it. I was gone for 20 minutes in the bathroom, and you had your show. I asked you what apps were on your phone. I talked about my apps. This has been one strange show.
This has been a strange podcast, very all over the place, and we're not even done.
No, so I was gonna ask, where is that treasure island?
It's Treasure Island. It's on Oak Island. It's in
like where's Oak Island?
Nova Scotia, Canada.
How do they think that the Ark of the Covenant went all the way from Israel to Nova Scotia, Canada?
I don't know. I have no idea. But you know, if it is true, hey, that's neat.
It's neat, but wow.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch, to be honest.
The big stretch.
You know, I think I'd more believe the Templars than the actual Ark of the Covenant. But yeah, there's not much in terms of evidence of there actually being things so far. Just a bit of coins, a bit of wood, some rocks, and at one point later a golden cross, and that's about it.
Goodness, John doesn't believe the Ark of the Covenant is there, but he believes in Templars. Will he believe? Will he pull down his wall so he could believe? Will he even keep watching the show? Will the show end before he finishes it? Find out.
Never. Yeah, so the show is intriguing, to be sure, but it's a mess. It's just,
I can't believe they have an audience for this.
I mean, here's the thing. Treasure hunting is just really fun to watch.
True.
Which is probably one of the main topics I just wanted to discuss here, was treasure hunting. I don't know why. I find the allure of finding this mysterious thing very interesting. Mm-hmm. And it's just like we want to find out the mystery. I think we all just want to answer some questions. Like we're presented with this mystery. It's like, ooh, how does this thing get solved? And it's like, yeah, let's find out. Well, at the same time, not actually finding out what's going on here.
Like, how big is the team?
At least 6 consistent guys.
Okay, and how well do they build their personalities in the show?
They're real people.
Well, I know, but like, do you get to know them as real people, or are they just people?
You get to know a few of them as real people, specifically the main 2 brothers of the show. One is very adamant, the other one's just like, I don't want to spend this much money unless I know for sure this is actually a thing. And so that's that one brother's entire story arc. It's like, I don't want to actually invest in here unless I know for sure there's something down there. And so And he's the same guy that the people had to convince in the other TV show to help support and fund the other show, which is like, haha, interesting. Um, but yeah, treasure hunting. Like, do you find any appeal in just finding the mysteries of treasure hunting and all that?
So that was the main question all along.
I think, yeah.
That's amazing. How it took us like 40 minutes to get to that.
Yeah.
I had to go to the bathroom, and you talked about the show. Do I find appeal in treasure hunting?
Mm-hmm.
I think the concept itself is interesting. I'm not sure if it would engage me enough to watch a show. However, especially how you're describing it about the narrator, I feel like I would be in a similar place like your mom. I feel like me and your mom do have somewhat similar humor styles.
Probably, yeah.
Taste. So I would probably find that just funny, and so I almost want to watch it just for that.
Just for that?
Will I? I'm not sure.
No, don't. Don't. If there's even a chance that you'll get hooked on it, don't. Because like I'm watching it just to find out. You know, a good thing about it is like I'm at least reading the synopsis of the episode before I actually click on it, just to decide, should I skip this one? Yeah, why not?
Have you actually skipped any?
I have skipped a few. It's really it's really nice and helpful because they just repeat the same thing the next episode. It's like
the previously on.
Not always. Okay. Sometimes in the middle of the episode, it's like, last week we did this. And it's like, okay, now I know. I don't have to watch that episode. I don't have to watch an hour of an episode just to get a 2-minute synopsis of what happened. And honestly, the 2 minutes is the only thing of worth. Everything else is just like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Should we do that? What do you mean should we do that? I mean, should we spend the time and effort to do this thing? Or should we just quit? It's like, well, I'm not going to quit. And that's like the same thing every episode. And so you spend a lot of time stretching that out, and then you actually do the thing. It's like, oh, hey, there's that thing.
And so this show and the Civil War show, they're going on at the same time, right?
Yes.
So how many of these shows is the History Channel doing at the same time? These treasure hunting shows.
Right now, that I've seen so far, there are 3. Okay. But they don't run at the same time. They run at different seasons, like different intervals. You know, like this set of weeks we have this show. This set of weeks we have this show.
That makes sense.
Live and weekly. So right now the live one is the World War II one, which is the more interesting of the shows because they're completely different people actually working on this.
Okay.
So the History Channel is just like, I don't trust the history on that channel because it's all aliens and stuff like that, which I did find interesting when I was younger. But it's like the more you get to see the exact same thing, it's like, okay, I don't. Yeah. This show is no longer worth it for me.
But then why do you keep watching the History Channel?
I don't.
Just in general.
I don't watch the History Channel. It's just this week I just saw this one show and it's like, huh, okay.
So you're intrigued.
I'm intrigued. And so, yeah, like by the time I'm done with this show here, I'm probably going to stay away from the History Channel unless there's something new there. But yeah, this is my life.
So then I guess I'll be honest about something. There has been a show that I have been watching a few episodes of. Mm-hmm. And I hate to say it, illegally.
Shush.
I've watched some episodes of VeggieTales in the House.
Okay.
And like, have you?
No.
No?
No.
Would you? So obviously, I hate the design, but
it's on Netflix, isn't it?
Right. Yes. I hate the design, obviously, but I mean, like, if you kind of look at it, that's not supposed to be the VeggieTales that we know, then I feel like there's a little more appeal. I do feel like I only watched a few episodes where I thought like the synopsis was interesting, right? Mm-hmm. There's some synopsis that I see that just seem flat out boring and just perfect for preschoolers. But there's like this one episode where like Bob needs to write a silly speech, and so basically Larry zaps him with like a silly ray, and so we know Bob the Tomato, quite serious, and everything has to be right, and then basically Bob becomes like a crazier Larry, and like I think that's like an interesting concept. But is it a great show? I don't think so, but it's just intriguing, regardless.
Right. Yes. And so treasure hunting. I don't know.
Go on. I just had to drop in my thing.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have much left to say about treasure hunting, but I just like the whole mystery and allure of the past, and just like ooh. Another thing specifically is just shipwrecks. I like.
Okay, so is there a TV show about shipwrecks that you've been watching?
There was one. It's called the Sea Hunters, and basically they try to find these lost stuff, and they actually do find the ships, which is actually a plus.
And is this on History Channel as well?
It was years ago. This is like early 2000s. It's on YouTube, so you can find it there. It's slightly, it's almost boring.
Almost boring.
It's almost boring because it's almost something that puts you to sleep. The narrator is somewhat boring, to be honest. But once they actually get to the ship, it's like, oh, that's neat. But besides that, it's fine. It's okay. It's enjoyable.
Does the History Channel have their own streaming service?
Oh, they have their own app, I think. Every channel has their own app or service of some kind that you can go and watch it. They have History Vault, I think, where you can watch their stuff there. So, yeah.
So, how are you accessing like the old History Channel episodes from like the treasure hunting stuff?
The treasure hunting stuff, I have it on demand on my cable service.
Okay, that's cool.
So I can watch it there. And so besides that, the Sea Hunters is on YouTube. You can find their episodes there. Besides that, I do enjoy the appeal of these past things. I like the history of it. It's like, oh, that's sad. That ship was once a thing. Now it's just that. It's interesting to look at that. And so I wanted to get into a discussion on monuments.
Okay. I feel like I had just a quick question. How many subscriptions do you currently have? I mean, you mentioned you have cable, you have the DC, you have Disney Plus. Do you currently have Netflix or anything else?
Netflix, it's the subscription that's my mother's, so I get to have access to that.
That makes sense.
It's the same thing with cable. They have a bundle with the internet and cable because it's much cheaper than just getting the internet itself, apparently. Which is stupid. But then for me, I have Disney Plus that I pay monthly. DC Universe is something that I only have for this month. I might have it for next month. Depends. I might have a thing to get it for free. Depends. Okay. Using the reward system they have, hopefully I can get that.
Gotcha. All right, Monument. Let's get political.
It's not exactly political.
Okay,
but cool. The monuments.
Good, because I don't want to get political.
I mean, it's more of a theological standpoint on monuments.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Just hit me.
I don't know. I don't exactly know how to phrase this thing about monuments.
All the words you need.
Should we destroy our past monuments if they are?
That was flat out. Just like boom.
Yeah, like if they're not monuments of good things, should we do that?
I mean, first I would ask, why was there a monument at the thing in the first place?
Yeah, that's a good question. Why is this a monument? Well, the monument, the way I'm going to describe it is the monument is there to tell the history that this was a thing at one point. It's not exactly praising this person. It's just a representation of what this was.
But it also depends where it's displayed. So let's say Hitler, because that's like the one man we all can agree that was bad, right? So Hitler, if there was a monument of him,
he was troubled.
in downtown, the capital of Germany, which escapes me at the moment, like just in
Okay.
the middle of the square.
Berlin.
Berlin. Okay, yes, like downtown Berlin. There's a monument of Hitler, compared to there being like a monument or something of the sort in a museum.
Where exactly is this monument?
No, I don't know. I'm just making it up.
No, like hypothetically, where is this monument?
Like in the middle of downtown, like where center.
Right.
So, like the point is, like it looks like it's being celebrated, basically, right? Because
supposedly, it's a part of history.
It's a part of history. First off,
like
I feel like a core question is why monuments in the first place.
Yeah, that's one thing I do think. Like monuments, they're nice to celebrate a person at times, but it's also like, should we be celebrating this person in this way? Because essentially that monument is taking up space somewhere that could be used for something more productive. And like, this is how I'm relating this to the argument that there's no more room on Earth for us to have, especially we're overpopulated, where it's like, well, not really. We have so much space.
Right.
And it's like, it's
not being utilized.
Yeah, like we have all this space that we're just putting this one statue here. It's a nice statue, but we could put that statue in the museum. And we can learn from there. It's interesting. Personally, I don't think you should destroy something just because it offends you. I think it's there to tell a story. And where the story's being told is probably the more important part.
I guess the one thing that I'm a little frustrated right now is the fact that people are defacing and destroying monuments because they can. I don't want that to come off the wrong way, right? But I feel like let's just take Washington D.C.
Yeah.
What I saw some like just these landmark buildings. Okay. Yes, maybe George Washington wasn't perfect, and I think he did free the slaves when he died, but he owned slaves. Okay. Abraham Lincoln. I don't care. Okay, but these are people that we basically celebrate as relatively good people, right? The fact that these monuments are being defaced and destroyed just shows that people are just angry. Not because that they care about the history. They just... You know what I mean? If they truly cared about the history, they would destroy specific monuments.
Even then, I wouldn't destroy specific monuments.
Even then, yeah, I wouldn't. But I'm saying that if you're to destroy a monument, you better destroy the one that's actually representing poor history. Not poor history, but, regretful history. Like Hitler. Right?
Yeah. Even then, it's like, if you're destroying that thing, you're also kind of ignoring that thing at the same time. You're saying, like, let's just forget about him. He's not important. Like, he's this terrible person. He does not deserve to be remembered. At the same time, it's like, you probably still need to remember him. Not as a good person, but for an example that should not be repeated again.
But then that just really comes into question, like I said, just why monuments? Why?
Yeah, right. I mean, monuments in general, they're cool looking. But taking it from a Christian standpoint, I don't think we should have monuments in general.
Okay, you want to expand on that a little more?
It's almost as if we're glorifying those monuments over God, essentially. I can't exactly say that that's the sole heart of those people, but for some people, that's probably more important. They're the idols, the thing that distracts them from, stuff like that.
Because, like, here, like, like in the Ten Commandments, it says, "You shall have no other idol before me." I'm not calling a monument an idol. However, we can make anything.
Yeah, and it's like, for the most part, most monuments, and especially statues, are idols. They're a thing that you look at, and it's like you're inspired by those idols.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially the Statue of Liberty. It's a symbol of peace. The immigrants, they came to New York and Ellis Island. They see that. That's the thing that they see. They see the signal of peace and freedom, the Statue of Liberty, and it's like they worship the statue. Well, not they don't worship the statue, but they worship what the statue means.
They celebrate.
Yes, and so it's an interesting debate and how you view it.
Because, like, I bet we have paintings of tragic things that have happened in our history.
Oh yes, should we destroy our paintings?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question there, because that kind of like brings you into the museum thing. And if you get a history museum, we might have a painting of Hitler doing whatever, maybe just standing there. There's that. When you really think about it from the perspective of paintings, you're instantly like, no, that doesn't mean we're celebrating Hitler. This was that Hitler was part of our past, and this is just telling the history of our world.
This is what he looked like.
However, would we put that painting of Hitler in the middle of downtown? No, I think we would put something a little more, something that's a little more agreeable, you would think.
Sure, yeah. Something like that. Like a memorial with the names of people.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
We could, we're not going to get into a debate about that taking up space, but...
No, that's especially not, I mean, although...
I mean, it's basically the same as having a monument of someone, having a memorial of all these names. It's still, it's probably going to even take up more space.
Although you could look at it at the same time as our graveyards taking up space.
So, should we...
This one's a pretty... This is a moral gray argument. I don't think that people aren't really arguing this thing much, but it's like,
True. And there is, like, what you...
It also depends on how you view a person's body after they die.
True. Well, it's more or less respecting that person's...
Right, yeah.
Well, there's two sides of it.
Yeah.
If you're a relative, you want to respect their wishes. But just in general, are graveyards just taking up unnecessary space? But then, again, we can argue about, oh, my dead brain, where did it go? About, that we just have a lot of empty space on the earth that's just not being used.
Yeah, we can still use those before we even get to the cemeteries. But yeah, it is an interesting discussion that's definitely going to have to be brought up later in the future, far later in the future when we run out of space. Or
maybe even right now.
We still have space.
There are people who are arguing we don't have space. We know this.
People are arguing that, but the problem is we actually do have space.
We have a lot of space.
And this has been an argument for so long now. I mean, you could have space inside the Grand Canyon. You could create a system of homes there. You're defiling that land, but it's still a place for you to live.
Right.
And a long time ago, people lived there. They lived there. So really, you're living there. And it's like, it's rock. Yes, it's rock. It's a river.
How crazy are you about nature?
I'm not too crazy. I'm not...
Because I feel like so many people are like, oh my goodness, look at this guy. Look at this flower. The grass.
I don't think that we should destroy nature. At the same time, I don't think that nature goes above humans. I think there's a balance, and we have a responsibility that's given to us to take care of our land.
I would agree with that. I just personally feel like, I don't know. I feel like just one of the few, but I'm not very nature. Obviously, I'm for, taking care of our environment, the earth, nature.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm not those people like look at the evening sunset. I am not one of those people at all.
I mean, neither am I, unless I take a moment and just step back. Then I can appreciate it, because it's very rare moments where I'll take a look and say like, oh yeah, that is nice. It really depends on where you are and how you look at things. Because it's like, here's the thing, I can look at a nice sunset, I can take a look at a picture of it and all that, and I get what I see. And so, like, I lived in Ecuador. I was surrounded by volcanoes. And so, like, those are beautiful sights. But, like, they were average every day for me, you know? There are only a few instances where it's like, I'm not doing anything, and I just look at that. It's like, huh, that's nice. And I just go back to what I'm doing. But it's like, it's few moments where I could take a look at the sky and be like, ooh, that's a nice painting. And yeah, it's nice. It's, you know, it's something that happens when you grow older, especially.
That's true.
When you start reminiscing on the past, especially. This is something that old people do mainly. This is something that we'll be doing when we get old. Yeah. So yeah, that's how it is for me.
So, just back to the monuments.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, right now the arguments and debates are in relation to the Confederate monuments. I've mixed feelings about that. I understand that we have this sense of prejudice against the Confederate States.
Yes.
However, I mean, we have a lot of people who argue what the Civil War was fought about, right? Because a lot of people are going to argue the reason why we fought the Civil War was about the slavery. And there's going to be a lot of people who are going to argue that the Civil War was not fought about slavery, right? It was, I feel like at the end we can all agree that it was a factor.
Yes, it was a conglomerations of different things that were happening between the North and the South, essentially.
True. Like, there were obviously... I mean, to say that it was just slavery, I feel like is a little far-fetched. However, I mean, it was so bad.
It represents a big part of it.
Right.
And the outcome of the war and with the abolishment of slavery, essentially.
However, I feel like so many people do not remember that not everyone in the South was pro-slavery. Not everyone who fought for the Confederate was pro-slavery. Like Robert E.
Robert E. Lee?
Robert E. Lee. What? He was offered a position from Lincoln to fight. I forget if it was him or Stonewall Jackson, but I think it was Robert E. Lee to fight for the North.
Yeah, it was him.
He said no, because Virginia is my home state, and I'm going to fight for my state. So I feel like that's actually one thing very interesting comparing back then to now, is that I feel like there was a stronger loyalty to your state than there... Because I feel like right now, more people are more or less just patriotic to the country than to their state. So I find that very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But
another thing is a person is more than just a statue.
Mm-hmm.
And more than just a general understanding of this is the one thing that they're known for. And so when you have hate for the statues just because they're known for this one thing, it's denying, or it's being ignorant to the fact that they're more than this one thing. And it's like, I shouldn't just hate on this person just for this one thing. They have these other things that you can take a look at as well, if you even could. So why bother? But yeah, the only reason I would take down the monuments is just for space, and I wouldn't even just take them down. I just move them somewhere else, like a building or something. That's probably where they should be.
Yeah, I feel like they should just, especially at this point. First off, it's sad that people aren't educated, but
yeah,
especially if there are controversial monuments, then obviously I don't think it's right to deface or to destroy them, but
defacing anything I just don't like.
Right, I agree, but I think they just should be moved because in the end, someone made the darn statue.
Yeah, like also think about the person who made the statue. It's like they put the work into it. It's like they may not like the person, but it's still their work.
I mean, we can argue about that about the small businesses that are being destroyed, right?
Oh yeah,
the person put so much money, time, effort, and work into their business or into the statue, and you're just going to go up and deface it.
And this is also assuming that the person is actually a decent person.
Right. If the person actually had a poor history, I don't think you're excused for vandalism. However, I do feel like that should open up the discussion of why are we celebrating this person as a monument, and should we reconsider and in the end just more or less move it to a museum to explain the history properly.
Yeah. Like monuments, I don't go to a monument to look at them and be like, wow, that's this person. It's like, okay, there's a monument there.
Then that's another thing. Especially you're talking about space, and I'm talking about museums.
Yeah.
What? That is a good question. Why, in general, do we have monuments? That makes me wonder, right? If you were actually going to go to appreciate history, you would go to a museum, not the monument around the corner, right?
You know, sometimes you go to the monument around the corner because that's the only bit of history you have. And sometimes the monument is built there because that's the exact location of things happen.
Okay, so if it's the exact location, that much I understand.
Yeah. There, I'd say put a plaque. Just a plaque.
Yeah, those are easier to replace.
Yeah. Because, you still need that space for something. Oh, okay. So there's that discussion.
Thanks for talking about politics.
Well,
it's not completely politics. I just feel like
it's something that's been brought up in politics, but I wanted to take a viewpoint on this through a Christian's perspective.
Yeah, that's very intriguing. And I will say I do get really upset about how many issues are just are instantly turned into politics.
Oh, yes.
For example, this whole race issue that we're going through, I'm just saying,
yeah,
it shouldn't be super political, but people make it political. And
right.
And it's like, let's just do what you believe. I mean, I'm just saying generally. I'm not advocating for any viewpoint. But I'm just saying, do what you believe you need to do. And if you're a Christian, pray to God and ask Him for wisdom and guidance of what to do.
Yeah, CJ will have a field day on this topic. I know that for sure.
We should invite him for an episode or two.
I'm doing him for something else later.
Okay. He's a good man. I haven't talked to him in a while.
Right, he is a good man, yeah. So he's definitely someone to have on the podcast. Yeah, anything else that we can move on from the discussion?
Nothing that really strikes my brain right now.
Or is this a good point to just end off on?
This podcast is only 2 hours long. We should just end. It's almost 2 hours long. We should just end it.
Why? Like, what does 2 hours have to do with anything? If we had the spirit to talk about things, we can talk about things how we want.
Because I don't have any. I guess after since reading off the apps on my phone, and you're like, think about the listener, and now that's all I hear in my brain. Think about the listener.
Think about the listener.
Will the listener enjoy hearing John sitting there for 20 minutes singing songs and talking to himself?
I'm gonna cut out some parts of the 20 minutes because not all the 20 minutes of me talking, but it's still
it's
like
history. That shouldn't be the case.
It's at least 5-10 minutes of footage of me just singing songs and just talking about weird things. So yeah, that's the life of people who live and do things.
So, I guess we'll maybe just end on a personal note then. Okay. how have you been doing just in general the past week? With, obviously, I don't know how much of your life has really changed. Like,
no, it has not changed anything.
Well, I mean, like, did Corona... Obviously, Corona had you stop going to school.
Right.
Physically. But, like, during the summer, like, I know last year you went to a camp, but
It stopped me from finding job opportunities.
Okay. But that's pretty much it.
But that's it. I guess a good thing to come out of it is I'm more working on some voice work and stuff like that. Even though I'm not getting jobs, it's still I'm working it. I'm trying it. I'm doing stuff for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a plus. I'm on a diet right now, so that's fine.
That's fun.
Yes, losing some weight.
How long have you been
on? Almost a month now.
And is it working?
Yeah.
Yeah?
About 20 pounds.
Wow. Is it just you?
It's me and my mom.
I figured.
Yeah. Yeah, she cooks for me, so...
Okay.
It's great.
More home meals at this point, I guess?
Yeah, more home meals.
So do you ever have, like, the one day of the week that you treat yourself, or...?
That we're doing that next week.
Next week, okay.
When we're traveling. We've been waiting
that makes
a month
sense.
for that. Besides that, we limit it. Sometimes we do once a week, sometimes we don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever happens, but
that makes sense.
You gotta keep up your diet and all that. Yeah, that's fun.
Okay. That's cool. I hope that trip will be good. Is it all week, basically?
It's a week, yeah. It's a week, so that should be fun. My grandparents are turning 6. No, they're not.
They're turning 6 years old.
No. They're celebrating 60 years of marriage.
They were born on Leap Day,
which is a fun thing to have. Yeah.
Trying to think. So, I can't think.
Right. So I think we're at a standpoint, which is a good point to stop this podcast.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Also support us. Listen to us more. And all that stuff.
Yeah, you better.
You better. We're poor college students. We need
the
money. Not
John needs more Bionicles.
No, stop it. Not for that.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. If you do actually listen, even if you don't, me and John really do enjoy talking to each other. And honestly, it's just, like I mentioned, it's nice to have something consistent with a friend every week. So.
Right, yeah.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. Sure thing. Whatever, man. I don't care about you.
Does John really care about this podcast? Will Christopher keep recording it with John? Will CJ ever be on the podcast? What will happen in this world? Find out.
Could this be related to the Templar treasure that's found underneath John's home? Find out next time. Bye.
Bye.